The following is an original production of AZPM News.
For AZPM, I'm Mark McLemore, and this is Arizona Spotlight. Coming up, on this special show, the return of the feature A Moment to Cope. Hear from some Tucsonans who are longtime students of the Bodhisattva Institute, where they explore Tibetan Buddhism and meditation. In the next half hour, they will share personal stories ranging from surviving the loss of loved ones through staying calm during natural disasters, avoiding negative emotions, intrusive thoughts, and healing from tough medical diagnoses, all by applying positive coping skills. Those stories are all next on Arizona Spotlight. Established in Tucson in 1989 by the Venerable Lama Lodru Rinpoche, who still returns for regular visits, the Bodhisattva Institute is a quiet place of retreat and healing where the curious may study the teachings of Buddha and Tibetan Buddhism. I traveled there with production assistant Sarah Ariano to gather some stories from a small group of learners at the invitation of songwriter and performer John Coinman. Sarah Ariano's voice will be heard first, reading one of the small dedications posted in the retreat's living room. And then our stories will begin, the first one shared by one of the caretakers, Terry Bradley.
Do not do any evil, engage in excellent virtue, and tame your mind. This is the doctrine of the Buddha.
Well, one of the things I learned early on was there's nothing outside of your mind that has any power over you. Everything is in mind. And thoughts are just energy. Emotions and thoughts are not real. They have no substance. It's a play of the mind. Everything's here like the monkey mind is going on. You take those breaths, 3 breaths deep, and then just either focus on a stone, rock, or nothing at all, and just know that thoughts are just like clouds passing in the sky. They're just illusion-like. You know, we make them real, we make them solid, but they're not solid. And what I've done is you sit with it and you can feel them come up. Or you look at it. Where does it exist? And where in your body do you feel it? So teaching how to be very in tune with one's body and be more aware of what's happening and how much this ego mind has a grasp on us that wants to keep us stuck in suffering or moving forward or being right here in the now, right in the middle, you know, not projecting too far ahead, not going back too much into the past. Doesn't exist anymore, and the future doesn't exist. So what we have is right here. For me personally, I don't want to live my life with any regrets, or I don't want to be negative, and, you know, I own it. And those are the things that have helped me. Lama has always told me, Rinpoche has always told me, don't make anything a big deal.
So, John, to a large extent, you're the reason I'm here today. I wouldn't be friends with the group if you hadn't opened that like a good ambassador that you are. So when I told you about the idea of coming here to talk about moments to cope, what's something that you would want to share with the listeners about learning to cope in these very difficult times?
Well, first of all, Terry Bradley, that was beautiful. Thanks. And thanks for having us on the show. There are just all sorts of things that I can work on myself. You know, having negative thoughts is like a really big thing. I mean, they can be overwhelming. They can be little bitty things during the day or whatever. But one of my big issues in terms of negative thinking is that I direct most of my negative thinking to myself instead of outwardly toward other people. So that began to happen to me when I was a kid. I had these like incredible anger issues, which I still have, but I understand them more now. But when I was growing up, I had a lot of anger in me, and I had no idea what it was. It wasn't never defined. We never talked about it. I never understood everything as far as our little town of Clayton, New Mexico. We were like a really great family, but inside there was some really bad stuff going on. And not all bad, but, you know, my dad beat up my brother, and stuff, and so I was like really angry, but I had no idea what it was. It just was like this thing in me, and then all of a sudden it would explode. So as I went through life, and particularly when I got introduced to Tibetan Buddhism years ago, I began to understand that it's a function of the mind. It has no reality whatsoever for anything or anyone in the world except for me. And I can control that now. I can see, now I have a sense of, oh, that's anger arising, and I can, I can suppress it. I can move beyond it by breathing or by redefining it or redirecting it. But as a kid, I was helpless because there was no dialogue and no teaching or no talking about what was going on. And I had no idea how self-destructive it was and how damaging it was. And it just kind of lived there until it came to light. And then once it came to light, then it lost its venom, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And my anger was all kind of turned inward, and like one time when I had learned to play golf and really wanted to excel at it and really worked hard at it, I got so angry one time when I was out playing that I set my 2-wood on fire on the second hole because I hit it out of bounds. And yeah, I know you laugh. It's funny. I know, but I dumped lighter fluid on it. I was smoking cigarettes then, lit it up, and walked away. And then somebody came up to it, holding it up to me later, and said, "You want to keep this, really?" And so I played with the burnt 2-wood for years. I still get really angry, and I have all the tools in the world to work with. Take a deep breath. Don't take it personally. Hey, lighten up a little bit. It's only golf. You're living in a beautiful world. You have all these things, but it's still that lightning, quick flash of anger. I still haven't learned to control it. I mean, I don't hit people with it or, with a club or anything like that. I hit myself occasionally, but.
Hi, my name is Ruth Ann Coyote, and I've been practicing here at the Bodhisattva Institute on and off for about 26 years. I lived here, I was on the board, and I moved away, and I moved back. And I feel that in terms of coping with negative emotions, the practice that I've learned here, the mantras, the silent meditation, the visualizations help keep me focused in the present moment. And anger is about something that may have happened in the past, something that bad might happen in the future. So when you're in the present moment, what's really happening right this second? Often nothing. I'm sitting right here in a room with a bunch of really cool people, and any angry feelings that I could engender and craft could pop out. But by staying in the present moment, I feel like that helps diffuse the whole, diffuses kind of rage that I think that's such a human thing, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So not even just anger or irritation, but like rage. So that's what I want to say.
I'm Peter Schley, and I've been coming to the Bodhisattva Institute for about 15 years, I think. And you mentioned about unconditional love, and not sure to believe in that, and I'm not always so sure that I have either. But just recently, this is sort of a apt topic for me, a moment to cope. My partner of 18 years passed away 7 weeks ago, and part of the teaching in Tibetan Buddhism is that we're in between, having the next life in between, and your death and rebirth is 49 days, and you're in what they call the bardo. And so we've been doing prayers for my partner every day to have a fortunate rebirth. But so through this time, he passed suddenly, had a pulmonary embolism. I rushed him to the hospital a mile away, and he passed away on the way there. And part of me blames myself. You know, I didn't get him there fast enough, or we didn't see it coming, and all the kind of things, you know, that you go through, people go through in grief. And part of it was I didn't love him enough, or didn't love him the right way. And I was sometimes hard on him because he didn't do the things the way that I thought he should be doing them, you know. That's sort of a partner thing, I think, you know. But what I learned was that the unconditional love, that I love him just the way he was. And just because it wasn't the way I thought it should be, or he was the way, or didn't love me the way, or I didn't love him, and I blame myself. Maybe I should have, you know, done this and that and the other thing. And what I learned is it was all okay, you know, that we did love each other, and that we had life things going on, but that we, you know, we didn't argue. So when he passed, I was fortunate enough to get in touch with Lama Lodhu Rinpoche, and he talked to me and he said, you know, how sorry he was, but he said, you know, I can't even remember everything he said. It was not a real long conversation, but what I took out of it was that we're impermanent. You know, this is the extreme example of impermanence, that, you know, that we sometimes think we're going to be around forever. We don't foresee our own death until somewhere in the future, unless we're like really sick or something. And that, you know, to remember that. And so when he passed away, right away, I started doing a prayer out of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, because I thought that would be important to do for him, you know. And I talked to Rinpoche and I said, you know, I did this prayer. And he said, well, don't worry about that so much, because my partner was a very devout Catholic. But practice Chenrezig. Zig. And Chenrezig Zig is a practice we do here. We just finished doing it every Sunday, and we do it on Wednesday. And Chenrezig Zig is a bodhisattva of compassion. And so you're concentrating on visualizing Chenrezig Zig, this bodhisattva, somebody who has attained enlightenment but sticks around here to help other beings also become enlightened. You know, they make this vow. So Rinpoche said, just practice Chenrezig Zig. Practice compassion for your partner, practice compassion for yourself, and practice compassion for all the other beings that have recently passed. I looked it up. There's 150,000 people a day that die, 150 to 175,000 people. So we can have compassion for every one of those people. And their families, right. I mean, and it's almost easier, you know, for the dead person, because they're gone, you know. They're like, if they had a good life, if they were, you know, a good person, they're going to have a fortunate, you know, rebirth. Someplace that's absolutely wonderful. You might, if you were a Catholic, you'd say heaven, or whatever the word is. You know, they're all similar. That we hope that we're going to be, if we're good people, that we're going to pass in even better lives the next time, or be somewhere even better where we can keep improving ourselves. So that's what Rinpoche told me to do. And I can't tell you how fortunate I feel to have had that instruction, you know, this is what I should do.
My name is Richard Bradley, and Terry and I, we live here as caretakers here at the Bodhisattva Institute. We're at 714 Desert Street. So I just want to reach out to everybody out there and just let you know that this place is open for people. So if you feel like you need to calm your mind down a little bit and work on loving yourself and some compassion, then this is a really good place to come. So you're always welcome to come. I would have to say that anger is really, really difficult. Sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. I remember a great master, his name was Talopa, over 1,000 years ago. He gave us advice even 1,000 years ago that I think is still relevant today. He said, let go of what is past. Let go of what may become. Even let go of what's happening now. Don't try to make anything happen. Don't try to figure out anything. Just sit and rest. And there's something so important and profound if people could just take a few minutes of their life every day to just sit and let their mind relax. Let their thoughts go. Just keep letting things go and just help you to relax in that space. There's something esoterically special that happens when that occurs. And think about how this world is right now. It's so compressed. We were talking about that in group today, about how we know too much. Human beings, I don't believe we're meant to have so much information. We're being pounded by information. Thoughts are constantly racing. We're constantly being overstimulated. So anything we can do to calm ourselves down would be wonderful. In my life, I got a good fortune of being able to work with the public. And when I work with the public, I got to work with people of all different castes, races, everything, all over the world. And everything I always realized is that all of these people are not essentially that much different than me. They just want to be happy and they don't want to suffer. And they basically want the same things. So every time that I would think of that in compassion, that this person is the same as myself, I would just be kind and loving to them, and they would be kind and loving back, and it was just a wonderful thing. So that's what I have to say there.
Great, thank you.
My name's Deborah Huffman. I don't have anything to say about anger. Or I think you're complete on grief. But I was reflecting about the through thread is about breath and moment. And I remember coming here in the beginning, and I'd had teachings as a volunteer with when the Dalai Lama visited here twice in the 90s and 2000s. And couldn't practice during that time because I had young children and I just needed a seatbelt in order to sit. But I could always bow. And then I found this place. And I don't know, it's like many of the teachings, people just show up when Rinpoche comes. And I was one of them. And I watched him over about a 2-year period for a series of teachings and then decided to ask him, could I be a student? And he looked at me, and I had white hair like I do now, but I was around 60. And he looked at me straight, and he said, "It's getting late." and it was late, but I'm still here many years later. And I think about the teachings of that breath and moment of being present. And I was in a big event in the Grand Canyon on the river of a flash flood and a debris flow that just overcame and destroyed our camp just as we were beginning and killed one beautiful woman and swept another elderly woman upstream and then back. And it was huge. Debris flow, we escaped into the river, which was really interesting. It's a flip. That's where you're supposed to be afraid of, and that's actually what saved us. Cut the lines, there we were. And coming back, everything was fine there because we were all taking care of each other. It was very interesting. And I talk about karma. We talked about that, of how we felt like everyone who we needed to be there was there. Doctors, the sort of kindness that we had. And they dropped in these 2 medics that looked like they were from Hollywood and took care of us and then flew us all out the next day. We evacuated because we lost everything in the river. And once we were up, it was like immediately just lost it. Everybody's losing it. Very interesting. We're now safe. But I had to drive home, and what came was panic. I'd get panic attacks, so fear, but what am I afraid of? It's already passed. But here I am, and it's taking me away, and it's just like freaking me out. But I did just what this practice has taught me without thinking, of breathing, looking at it, and moving into that feeling. And finding that feeling, and finding it's just a feeling. And it's not real. And it was most interesting. I needed help for the trauma. I needed someone to help me find my way through that. But I was fine with panic because it's just effervescent, It's not real. It's all the things that we spoke about anger, and the moment of being present. I remember being in the river, and these 2 women who had befriended me, they said, "What are we going to do? Deborah, what are we going to do?" I sounded like Ram Dass. I said, "No past, no future. right now. And I'm thinking, I don't know. where did that come from? But that's how it was. It was just like the stillness and the vastness. And you see your mind, and your mind is like giant at that time. But that's these teachings. And when I came here, I remember looking at Rinpoche for a couple of years and then saying, I want the qualities that he has attained. And that's why I returned. And to see that he describes himself very simply, he's present. And he offers to us these teachings that are just invaluable in his presence as well as and his life, as well as through what he has to give us. So that's what I have to offer.
And then Terry?
I had the good fortune of meeting Rinpoche in the 90s. And I didn't know what was in store for my life. And someone told me to do three-week retreats. Do 3. And that's called Nunye. And we just had one here. You meditate, you do a practice, you don't talk, and, there's certain restrictions. But shortly after that 3rd one, I got very sick and ended up being on life support for a month. My devotion to Rinpoche had become deep and more deep and more deep as the years went by, and his teachings, start settling in the Buddhist teachings. And again, to reflect back to, no one outside of ourselves has any power over us than our own mind, and no one can take your mind away from you. Those were things that he kept saying to me and other healers that I have come in contact with in my life. When I was in life support, when I finally became aware, because you're not asleep, had I not had the training in this, with these teachings and the devotion to the lineage and to my Kaindru Lama, I would never have made it. There came a time where I flatlined several times, but this one particular time I actually was saying goodbye in my coma state to my twin, and I could feel my breath leaving. The hearing goes, the breath goes, and I took my last breath and crossed over. And to give you a little context, I always told my husband, if anything happens to me, contact Rinpoche, just right away. And so they did, and he came up, it was a 4-hour drive, and did a practice in the room. And it affected everybody, including the nursing staff, everybody there. It was a positive effect. But had he not done that, I know I would not be here today. I just know it. And so that faith, trust, and devotion and confidence I gained through all those teachings, because when you cross over, you don't see yourself. You don't have a body, but you have mind. So having that experience, what he's always taught and what are in the teachings are that the habituations that you start cultivating in this life, you take those habituations over with you. So it's best to work on detaching, and not making things so solid. And I know because of that, when I crossed over, it was amazing, just an amazing feeling, weightless feeling.
This is Richard Bradley. Thank you so much for having us. But the thing I wanted to make sure to say is that we all have these emotions. Please take just some time in your life, whenever you have a few minutes, to just relax, get off the phone, computer, all of that, and just do nothing. Sometimes the most powerful part of the day is when we're doing nothing and really allowing ourselves to be with ourselves so we can get our inner wisdom. So please, everyone, we're talking about how to cope. This is a great tool. You ask yourself, am I worth 5 or 10 minutes a day to just nurture myself that way by just relaxing my mind and doing nothing?
Yes. I was just going to say in defense that we learn by stories.
I think we all do.
Yeah, the teachings are there.
Yeah, this is John, and I wanted to be sure and let everybody know that we are having an open house here, April 11th, 10 to 12.
Yes.
Open house at 714 North Desert Avenue at the Bodhisattva Institute. And we hope everyone that listens to this broadcast will come and check out our wonderful meditation center here.
Yeah.
We have a lot of extra chairs and food.
In addition to the open house on April 11th that John Koinman spoke about, the Tibetan emissary who founded the Bodhisattva Institute in 1989, the Venerable Lama Lodru Rinpoche, returns for a visit and a series of 4 lectures on April 18th and 19th of 2026. We have more information and a link to the Institute's website on the Spotlight page at azpm.org, plus an interview I did with Lama Rinpoche back in 2025. The next time you find yourself or a loved one in crisis, I hope you are able to take a moment to cope. Thank you for listening to Arizona Spotlight. This show is a production of AZPM and is posted weekly at azpm.org. The production engineer is Jim Blackwood. Production assistance by Sarah Ariano. I'm producer and host Mark McLemore.
This has been an original production of AZPM News.